Welcome to the Captain's Run with myself and the great Cameron Smith, mate. Smithy, speak to me.
How are you, Kempy?
I can smell it in the air, Smithy. There's a different... You know what? You came back. You looked a little bit different this week, mate. You looked a little bit... The shoulders were back a bit higher. You looked more aggressive.
No, not aggressive, no. No, I'm a little bit up and about, though.
Yep.
Origin camp's on.
Mate.
The teams have been announced. How good is it? It's just an exciting part of the year, isn't it?
Yeah.
For league fans.
Yeah.
But come next week, not just league fans, sport fans in Australia, they sit down and they watch the greatest rivalry in any sport on this planet.
Literally.
Queensland versus New South Wales.
Mate, it is truly Christmas for footy fans.
It is.
And every year...
Christmas comes early.
Literally. And every year I think, oh, yeah, Origin's coming around. But when it hits, when the Origin fever hits, you get caught up in the exact same way. You know what I mean? You never get used to that Origin just hype and there's new narratives, there's new stories, there's, big selection dramas and all that kind of stuff. I absolutely love it. But, Smithy, I've got an offer for you, mate.
Okay.
I've got an offer.
All right.
I want to offer my services, 20% discount.
Yeah.
20% discount.
Yep.
I will be an inspirational speaker for your team
Okay.
on Wednesday night, if you will have me.
All right.
20% discount.
Have you got commitments already? I'm sure. I've heard you talking about some commitments, prior commitments. No.
Let me check. I'll check with. I'll check. You know what? I'll check with the missus because I probably do. I probably do.
I thought you said I was going to check with the boss. I was going, aren't you your own boss? Mate, listen. I'll talk to the coach.
Yep. Okay.
Bill Slater. See if he's short of any sort of motivational speakers.
Okay. 30% discount.
Okay, 30. All right. We might have to work on that figure. We might have to come down a little bit more. But we'll see what he says. He may want someone in there.
Okay. I'll keep my fingers crossed. But mate,
Okay.
what's it been like for yourself? Obviously, you've been in camp. You've felt the Origin kind of buzz as much as anyone.
Yep.
And the last week, the teams get selected. First of all, your first reactions to the teams.
Oh, look, really excited about the Queensland team, of course, and being lucky enough to be involved this year. And it was just great to see a lot of the young faces coming into camp. We got a few first-timers in there, a few guys making their debuts, and another couple on the extended bench. First-timers in there as well. Just seeing their excitement on their faces, Kempy, was great because it sort of takes you back to the first time you get an opportunity to walk into Origin camp and you just sort of find yourself reminiscing about those times and what it meant to you and how it felt. And I'm sure it's the same as a lot of the young guys coming into the Blues camp as well. Just that feeling of getting an opportunity to pull on your state's jumper, your state's colours. But it's been great. It was a hectic first day. And it always is. Just you had to get through a lot of the formalities with the media and headshots and trying on team apparel, all that sort of stuff. Just getting all that sorted. But it's important to get all that stuff out the way early, so then you can just sort of build into the week, start concentrating on your preparation. And they've been fantastic. They've been great.
Mate, it's super exciting. And what I love about this year is that there are actually quite a few in both teams, either big selections of people coming back into the side that have been out for a bit, also debutants. But give us a call, 1300 01 1170. Ask Smithy all your Origin questions or text us in 0457 736 736. You can also download the episode on Apple and Spotify and listen to it anytime at your leisure. But first of all, let's get into some of the selections. We'll go New South Wales first. The huge selection, bombshell, was Addo-Carr. Doesn't make the side.
Yep.
Tupou comes into the side. What were your thoughts, obviously, as an ex-teammate? You know how good Addo-Carr has been in Origin and also for his club. What were your thoughts on that selection?
I was surprised, I must admit. I was a little bit surprised. I can understand the selection of Daniel Tupou, given his ability in the air. He's got a strong carry on him also. And it's probably, when you have a guy like Brian To'o on one side, you're probably thinking you want someone with a little bit of height. Considering the way Queensland's gone with Cobbo and Coates. So both men are over 6 foot, well and truly. I think they're sort of both are in around the 6'5" sort of range. Two giants who are good attacking options for a kick. Both got really good speed as well. So I can understand why New South Wales have gone down that road of picking someone with a little bit of height on that side. But, if you're Josh Adokar, you're still feeling, this is my opinion, that he's a little bit hard done by, isn't he? Given, just to start off, take away, what's happening at the Bulldogs at the moment. Like, he's been, one of their best players now for the last, 3 or 4 series. New South Wales, he's performed extremely well every time he's put on that jersey. And even take away the results of his footy side this year, like his stats alone are pretty impressive. The output of himself as an individual in that footy side, they're pretty good. And they stack up against any other winger in the competition.
Absolutely.
So a little bit surprising, but at the end of the day, the New South Wales staff have gone for what they believe is the best makeup for their 17 this year for game 1.
Yeah, it's surprising because they're very different players. But a guy like Darius Boyd, where, you could say there were a year or two where other wingers may have been in better form, but Queensland knew that he did the job.
That's
and he
right.
did it extremely well.
Yep.
And I liken it to the Adokar situation because Adokar's almost, in a similar vein where he's played, I think, 11 games, scored 10 tries. Darius, similar situation.
Yes.
They're both really good in defense. They make, little to no errors in Origin. And so it does surprise me that he wasn't selected because it's hard to compute because if there was one player to be loyal to, it'd probably be him and Jake Trbojevic.
Yes.
And yet that Freddie has been loyal to other players and that they aren't going that well at club. He's brought them in.
Yeah.
So he must have a specific game plan, which is, obviously Freddie, he knows his footy, so he would know what he's doing. But
Yes.
I would say that the Josh Adokar one is really, really surprising.
Yeah.
And Tupou has been playing outstanding, but I think that some people, like that, for example, there was an article saying if you go to the Dogs, who would want to go there anymore because you don't get selected? But I don't know whether I agree with that because if you actually look at Josh Adokar's stats, as you said, he's playing some good footy.
That's right. Yeah, and look, it's a very different position he finds himself in to what he has in the past few years with the Melbourne Storm. Right, he's had more opportunities when he was playing at Melbourne. A lot of the work on the inside done by his teammates have created those opportunities. He hasn't seen as many of those with the Bulldogs. So you can't sort of point a finger at Josh Adokar and say, mate, you're not scoring as many tries, you're in poor form. Well, most of the work done for the wingers is done inside, right? They're finishers. That their job is to finish what's created inside. He hasn't had those same opportunities. But when he's been asked to carry the football or asked to make tackles or make defensive reads, like he's not far off what he's been doing in the past, as I said, 3 or 4 years. So his stats, I'll say it again, stack up against all the other wingers in the competition, which is why I was a little bit shocked that he was left out. On top of his past performances, and we're not talking 3 years ago. We're talking last year's series. He was fantastic for New South Wales.
Absolutely.
But they've gone a different direction. The important thing for Josh now is just he needs to put that behind him, and he needs to go back and play strong for club. And this is a 3-game series.
Yeah.
It's not just a one-off game, and his opportunity to play for the Blues or represent the Blues this year is gone. It's a 3-game series. If he plays well, he puts his name back in the picture.
Absolutely. And now another huge, I guess, bombshell to a degree. So at the moment, right now, it looks like Whiten is going to play centre and Crichton is going to play 14.
Yeah.
And Hines is going to be 18th man.
Yeah. We've been saying most part of this season, haven't we, when it comes to State of Origin selection, that we both had Nico Hines as a lock for 14.
I thought
I certainly
so.
did.
Yeah.
Given his versatility and his ability to play every position in the back line, as well as, you call 13s lock, but they're pretty much a link these days.
Yeah.
And if you needed to, you could actually throw him in the number 9 jersey too.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit of a curveball, that one. With Crichton being named at 14, Jack Whiten to start in the centres, hasn't been playing centre all season. He's had the number 6 jersey,
Yep.
but he has done it in the past for the Blues, which is this is the strange thing. We're talking about Josh Adokar
Exactly.
being left out,
Yeah.
but then Jack Whiten being named in the centres doesn't play there,
Yeah.
but has done a good job in the past for the Blues, and they've put him in there. So, look, the way I see that panning out is Jack will start there.
Okay. So you don't think there's any chance that they they mix it up before kickoff and they put Crichton to start? Jackie at 14?
Look, possibly.
Yeah.
Look, that's most definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
But if what I'm saying is, if Jack Whiten is to start there, I'm thinking he'll start, probably play the first maybe 20, 25 minutes.
Yep.
And then Crichton will come on the field.
Wow. At centre?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. And then Jackie.
Jack will be moved into that utility role.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, yeah, because when you think about it, Jackie, maybe his defence in that first 20 will be very aggressive, very strong because he's a big body.
Kick chase is great.
Yes, great
Got
point.
a really strong kick chase.
You know a bit of footy, Smithy, actually. You know what? You surprise me every day, Smithy. You surprise me every day.
And then, I think if you think about the combination that Crichton has with his Penrith teammates, why would you not utilise that? Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to leave Crichton sitting on the bench for 60 minutes.
It's so true. It's almost a wasted selection if you just sit him on the bench and
That's
he's got
right.
that connection with the boys. Jake Trbojevic quickly.
Yes.
Oh, man. I mean, we've got a text here, actually.
Yeah.
Cam, if Jake was a Queenslander and had done what he's done for New South Wales for Queensland, would he be playing Origin this year?
Oh, look, I'd suggest he would be. And that's not a knock on New South Wales and the path that they've gone down and the decisions they've made to leave Jake out. But I would suggest he would be. Yeah, definitely. I make that comment based on players that I played with in that Queensland side that remind me a lot of the way Jake plays. Guys like Dallas Johnson, Nate Miles.
Yep.
Similar thing.
Yep,
You know,
absolutely.
and some not so much Dallas, but Nate Miles. Yeah, he was playing in. He was representing the Gold Coast there for a long period of time, where they weren't travelling all that well.
Yeah.
Some of those years, his team wasn't in the top 8, but he was still selected.
Yeah.
Because of the trust that the selectors and the coach Mal Meninga had in him, and he knew that he would perform really well once he got into that Queensland side.
So just, I guess, for the listeners, we often hear the myth of, Queensland really did have this idea of trust and building it over years. And sometimes if you're not playing good at club level, you've done it at Origin level, we bring you in. That was a real thing.
Absolutely. And actually, it's funny. I had this conversation about a week ago with Jonathan Thurston. And now Jonathan Thurston, he's regarded by many as one of the greatest players to ever play our game. But he reminded me about, there was a period of time there at the Cowboys where they weren't travelling so well, and he felt, his own form wasn't great. But the moment he was selected in the Queensland side, and there was never a moment where he wasn't going to be, but the moment he heard his name read out and that he was jumping on a plane to come into Origin camp, he told me he felt the weight was lifted off his shoulders.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, the weight of pressure to perform, the pressure that was on his club side to try and find a win somewhere, try to find some good form that they'd had in the past, and the expectation of just turning things around at Clubland. As soon as he come into Origin camp, he spoke about how that just disappeared.
Yeah, wow.
And that he found his enjoyment for football again, and he found his best football. So sometimes it's really hard to look at certain players and go, well, he's not playing great, can't afford to bring him into camp. When you sort of know that he'll be different, I guess there's certain players that you can put trust in to do that. I think Jake Trbojevic is certainly one of those players.
Yeah.
But again, it's New South Wales have decided to go a different path, and they've picked a side that they feel is best suited for game one.
It's interesting, like different, I guess, philosophies maybe, or just different ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And you know what? they can both get to the same
Yeah,
result.
that's right. That's right.
It's just a different way of doing things. But we're going to head to a break. Make sure to call in 1300 or 1300 01 1170 or text us 0457 736 736. After the break, we're going to go a deep dive into the Queensland selections. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. We've got plenty of texts. Make sure to text in 0457 736 736 or you can call 1300 01 1170. Here's a text. Hey, lads, any chance that Corey Oates will get a chance in game 2 or 3 this year?
Well, it all depends on, I guess, what happens first up and possibly second game as well, Kempy. It's a good question, Cooper, but he was very much in the frame, I believe, to be involved in this first match. But Bill Slater and the selectors, they've opted for, well, it was hard to go past Cobbo. He's just been in ridiculous form. And he's been scoring plenty of points, but I think most of his best work has been coming off his own goal line.
Yeah.
Some of his kick returns and his ability to, when the opposition teams sort of put the ball in the in goal or roll one in to try and get a repeat set, his ability to get out into the field of play is just unbelievable. It's like it's a personal challenge for him to make line breaks.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And just run over people.
Yeah, and the fact that he's 19, I think.
19.
And you'd know better than anyone. Young guys coming through, usually they struggle in contact when they're 19.
Yeah, the physical
side of stuff.
Yep.
He relishes in it.
Loves it.
It's incredible.
And it's surprising because he's so quiet. He's so quiet. I think I've heard him speak twice in the first 4 days. Seriously.
Mate, you got him rattled.
No.
He's like, there's Smithy.
No.
Jesus.
Look, I'll tell you what, he walks around with a big smile on his face, which is good. He's a happy young fella, but a little bit quiet. And as you would be, it's his first time in Origin camp. He's playing alongside a lot of wonderful players, a lot of players he would have looked up to when he was younger. But look, he's a competitor, and he just, when he crosses that white line, he turns into a beast. And then on the other wing, obviously Xavier Coates, he's a great finisher. He's big, athletic, and just I think his form warranted his selection. But I must say, Corey Oates, he wasn't far off.
Yeah.
So depending on the health of those two players and the way the team plays, the way they play, he'll certainly be in the discussion if he keeps playing well. He's in some of his career best form.
Yeah,
Corey.
Absolutely. And the great thing for Queensland is if Coates and Cobbo play really well, wow, the next 10 years, because they're so young.
Yeah. Well, Xavier's 21 this year, and as we said, Selwyn's only 19. So if they continue to play well and get their jobs done, they won't lose their jerseys.
Now, there are other big selections. I would probably say one of the biggest selections was Cotter to start at 13 with Carrigan on the bench. What do you think the selectors were thinking there? I would have initially had Carrigan there, but having sat down and thought about the pace of Queensland Origin footy and a guy that just went out and did 63 tackles and only missed 0, Cotter might be the man. But what was the thought process, do you think?
Oh, look, I think Billy was really impressed with Ruben. Not just across the weekend with the 60 tackles. That's a huge effort by anyone's standards. But he's been really impressed with him over the last month, and it's his work rate, just his ability to make 1,000 tackles, but then back up when he needs to carry the footy. He carries the footy strong. He's got good leg speed. He plays with plenty of energy. And he's suited to this style of footy, So look, his form at Clubland has just been unbelievable, and I know, watching him over the last few weeks in particular, I know that he's been sort of identified by opposition coaches as a guy that's been very impressive.
Wow, yeah, he has been really, really impressive.
Yeah, so that was I guess a 50-50 selection. But, with Paddy Carrigan on the bench, we know he's been in fantastic form this year. He spent a few weeks on the sideline with a knee injury, but since being back, he's played huge minutes. So Queensland knows that once he takes the field, he could be on there for, he's not going on for a 20-minute stint. He could be playing some big minutes, depending on how the game's going. So, and he brings good leg speed. He's got good ball skills. He's got a nice pass in him, and he carries the ball strong too. So, there's a lot of parts to his game that's important for someone coming off the bench that can come on and make a big impact.
And now another huge call, Nanai to make his debut at number 17. Now, I assume, and I could be wrong, I'd assume that he just squeezed Arrow out of the side. I'm not sure if that is the case. I guess, what do you think the selector's thinking?
Yeah, look, I don't know how close that was. Like, I'm not saying it was a huge call or it was a tie call. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't part of deep discussions with selection. But again, I think he was another player that his form, it was really hard to go past him. I think that was the situation for the selectors, the coach and the selectors. It was just his competitive nature, his ability with and without the football. I think the things that he's been doing for the Cowboys was just. I think he forced his way. He forced himself into this team.
Very hard to ignore.
Well, absolutely, and he's got a little bit of that X factor as far as, he's a guy that his ability to score points off kicks this year.
Crazy.
He scored a try off a kick every second game.
He's got 11 tries or something, 10 tries.
Yeah, so and I'd say 3/4 of those are from
probably
from those kicks that I was talking about. So talking about a guy that competes on every play, he's certainly a guy that can do that. And look, he's been really impressive at training. Just with some of his movements, and we haven't sort of gone too deep into it, the preparation yet. It's been a couple of just early days. Got him moving, got him doing some simple drills, but he's been really impressive with some of the work that he's done so far.
Yeah, wow. And how big is he?
He's big, dude.
Is he big? So because when I first saw him, I thought he wasn't that big for a back rower.
Yeah.
But he's a big boy.
Yeah, he's on tally, he looks...
That's what I mean.
He doesn't look big, does he?
Yeah.
No, but he's pretty... he'd be, 6'1".
Yep.
And he's pretty thick. He's got good size.
Yeah, wow.
So, he's strong. As I said, he's strong ball carrier, makes good movement. And for a man his size, really good on his feet, Kempy.
Yes.
Can move really well.
Absolutely. And I guess, worst case scenario, if you were to lose a centre or something, you could probably slot him in there because he is pretty good laterally. Has that been something you guys have spoken about? This is really the first Origin where we've had the third doctor. So the chances of someone going off with a HIA, is that something in discussions with you guys?
Well, absolutely. And that's, you got to plan for those scenarios. And there's no doubt that there'll be HIA protocols in place for game one. And when I say they were in place, they're in place for every game. I mean, that'll be activated. The HIA stuff, there'll be a couple of players that will have to be removed from the field for HIA. You get a tap on the head now and you have to come off. And as you mentioned, the independent doctor's involved now. So even if your medical team deem your player to be fit to stay on the field, the independent doctor can interject and say, nah, off. So I'm sure that's, both coaches would have looked at, when they're building their 17 plus their 18th man, they would have looked at those scenarios saying, well, okay, if we lose an outside back, what's our plan? If we lose a middle forward, what's our plan? If we lose a back rower, what's our plan?
Now, another huge selection. Actually, you know what? We'll get to that later, but just quickly, Tom Dearden is 18th man.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Oh, look at another young Cowboy. The thing about this is, 12 months ago,
Broncos let him go.
Club.
So they said, mate, sorry, we don't need you.
Sorry, mate, we don't need you. We don't see a future.
Oh.
And now he's on the
18th
cusp.
man.
He's on the cusp of representing his state. And again, another young man. His form has been fantastic. He's just I think the way Bill and the selectors have gone about putting this side together is guys very fortunate Queensland this year. A lot of the players, if not all of them, are in very good form at the moment. Playing well, playing with plenty of energy, and Tommy Dearden's one of those guys who's, he's just playing that brand of footy that the Cowboys are playing at the moment, where they're just up and about. They're playing, with a lot of enthusiasm. He's competing defensively, not just with the footy, but he gets involved. For a young fella, like he gets his body in front, and he's aggressive. So I think that they're the type of guys that the Queensland selectors have gone for this first up game.
Mate, I love the selections. We're going to head to a break, but after the break, after the news, we're going to deep dive into the Benny Hunt, Harry Grant decision by the Billy Slater and the selectors, and also we'll talk about the Payne Haas saga at the Brisbane Broncos. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Make sure to call in. Ask Smithy, the assistant coach of Queensland, your origin questions. It's 1300 01 1170. Or you can ask the assistant coach your Queensland questions. Also played one game for Queensland when I was under 19. Just so you know.
Did you ever win?
No, we didn't actually.
Okay.
We won the fight though.
I think
there was a big fight.
Was there?
Yes, and we won it. I didn't win the fight, but we won it.
It's funny how when you watch all of those sort of junior state games, there's always a blue.
Mate, you know why? Guy named Gordon Tallis. He riled us up. He got the boys all riled up.
Oh, what do you mean?
Yeah,
before the game, he come and spoke to you?
He got us all riled up.
Oh,
so we're
mate,
sitting in the hotel
Gordy.
where I can't believe I'm playing for Queensland in the under-19s. And back then, like, it was the best of the best. I mean, we're talking like Jared Hayne, Uarte,
Yes.
Will Chambers, Dave Taylor.
Oh, hang on. Did Will Chambers start this fight?
He didn't start it, but I tell you what, he finished it. He finished it.
Was he wearing white headgear?
Yes, and he was feeding a back rower.
Will.
Anyway, so we're sitting in the hotel room
really
about to go out to play for Queensland. And so the kickoff would have been about, 2-3 hours away. So we're just about to leave to go to the stadium. Mm-hmm. Before we go to the stadium, Gordon Tallis walks in, he gives a pep talk, and he says to the whole group at the end of the pep talk, so, telling you what it means to be a Queenslander, at the end he says, and just one more thing, guys. If there is a fight, you either throw a punch or you walk away. None of this pushing and shoving. And so the boys were like, okay, we know what to do here. So if you go back and watch the fight, New South Wales weren't really ready for it because as soon as it kicked off, so Hayne throws a punch at Kieran Lander.
Yes.
And Kieran Lander throws a punch. And before Kieran Lander's punch could land, you can see a sea of Maroons just sweeping in because they were ready to we're not pushing and shoving.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. Anyway, Will Chambers was feeding a back rower that was like 10 centimetres taller than him. In a headgear. It was absolutely beautiful stuff. So you can actually go to YouTube, go under 19 State of Origin Brawl, and you will see it. It's a great one. I square up against Uarte.
Oh, how'd you go?
Well, no. So I got punched by a back rower. I punched a back rower, and then Uarte and me ended up kind of like in each other's face, and I got kind of like disconnected from the group. So I was in amongst all the New South Welshmen and the Queens, and so it kind of just ended. You know how that just kind of ends or whatever.
Fizzled out.
Anyway.
But you won the fight.
I think so. I didn't personally. I definitely didn't personally, that's for sure. But I was there amongst the other boys that won the fight.
Yes.
But anyway, quickly, Ben Hunt being selected to start over Harry Grant.
Yep.
What do you think the selectors were thinking there?
Well, I think they took into account Ben Hunt's previous performances for Queensland, particularly Game 3 last year. As we know, he wore the number 9 jersey. He was the dummy half for Queensland. Played the whole 80 minutes. Man of the match,
so good
performance, and also he's been voted the player of the series for Queensland. It's called the Ron McAuliffe Medal. He's received that twice out of the last 3 years.
Wow!
So I think it was a reward for his performances for Queensland, and I think Billy and the selectors felt as though he deserved that opportunity for Game 1. I think adding to that too was the injury that Harry Grant sustained last week in the captain's run for the Storm. He didn't play in that game with an adductor strain. He's going to be good to go.
Yep.
He's in camp now, and he'll be right to play. Plus, he was battling the flu a little bit as well.
Okay.
So I think they didn't want any preparation affected by players not being available for training sessions.
Okay.
If you look to last year, particularly Game 1, that was the case for Queensland.
Massively.
Like there was injury, guys come in, sort of half fit, missed half of the preparation of the camp. Sort of started training late in the piece on say like the Saturday or the Sunday for a Wednesday game. This time around, Billy wanted everyone fit and ready to go. At least the players that were starting the game.
Yep.
So now. And I truly believe that the way that the style that Harry Grant plays it's going to suit him to come off the bench like it did in his first appearance for Queensland.
Yep.
He come on, I think, with about 30 minutes to go. 35.
Almost won the game for us.
Well, he did. He changed the game.
Absolutely.
Okay, because Harry's he's a dummy half that plays a similar style to Damien Cook, where he is a runner. He loves running the football, and he's very good at it. So when he gets his opportunity to come off the bench, the sting's going to be out of the game a little bit. There'll be some fatigued players out there. And any half opportunity he gets from dummy half, whether it be, defenders left on the ground or a marker not quite set, he'll take those like he does every week for the Melbourne Storm. So I think it's more of a tactical play for Queensland, and it's what is the best makeup for the Maroons, particularly for game one.
And we're actually later in the show, we're going to have a really deep breakdown as to previewing how the Blues can win, how Queensland can win. But just quickly, back to the Blues. Angus Crichton misses out. Regan Campbell-Gillard comes in. Madison comes in. What thoughts on that? Angus Crichton, he's been there and done it quite a bit.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on Crichton missing out?
Yeah, again, another one. But, the players that have been selected in front of him, they're playing some good football as well. They're playing some pretty good footy.
Yeah.
Angus Crichton, he's been there, done that. He's one of those players. But I think they've made some selections that they feel is best going to complement the other players in the footy side for game one, Kempy.
Yeah.
And it's just it unfortunately, there's always going to be some quality players that miss out.
Yeah.
But I think Crichton will probably get his chances across this series.
We just got a text, actually. How does Reid Marnie not make the Queensland team? Please ask the GOAT, from Sam.
Well, it's probably that situation we just spoke about with the Ben Hunt, Harry Grant situation. Harry Grant's fit. If he wasn't put on the bench and he was starting, Reid Marnie wouldn't be in the side anyway. It would be Ben Hunt 14.
Yeah.
So with both Ben Hunt and Harry Grant fit and able to play in this Origin, they would have both been in the side regardless.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what number they wore on their back or where they started or where they come off the bench. Reid Marnie, and again, we just spoke about that with Angus Crichton. There's quality players that are going to miss out.
Yeah.
But most certainly, if one of those players weren't fit to play, I believe Reid Marnie would be a huge chance of playing for Queensland, like he was last year, until he would have played. I believe he would have played game one.
He got injured.
But he hurt his shoulder.
He got sent back to play.
He was in camp, but he got sent back to play, and he hurt his shoulder. So heartbreaking for Reid. But he's a fantastic player. I know. Speaking with Billy, his name was mentioned a lot. Around team selection for game one. But it's hard to leave. It's so hard to leave out. You can't leave out Harry Grant. And you can't leave out Ben Hunt. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people, because it's such a long time between drinks, I think people forget how good Hunt is at Origin. In the 9 especially.
And Kempy, on top of that, he's leading the Dally M leaderboard at the moment.
Yep.
So, it's not like...
In a team struggling.
It's not like he's not playing well.
Yeah.
So, currently, as voted by the Dally M judges, right, he is currently the best player in the competition, as far as the Dally M leaderboard says.
Yep. Now we've got some more text here. Hi, Goatee Beak, and the one and only Smithy. Massive Cowboys fan. I have 2 questions about the Cowboys. Does Tom Dearden look like a very young Lockyer to you guys? Due to his silkiness, is there a world where Nanai turns to a great number 6, do you think?
Look, I think the back row was probably best suited for Nanai, given his size. And just the way he plays, he probably he's no slouch, but he's probably lacking just a little bit of pace, maybe for 6.
It'd be interesting. He'd be a big 6.
Yeah,
big 6.
Yeah,
I think he's so good at the wide running forward.
Yeah,
he's got so many years. I understand it's exciting to get him into those key positions, but sometimes you've just got to go let them grow where they're at. And then, in the future, if it comes up, it comes up. Now, another great question, which is interesting too, because Tommy Dearden, his incredible rise to playing as well as he did, and he's helping lead around the Cowboys, which is sitting 3rd.
Yep.
But Sam Walker, who, was, you could argue last year was probably ahead of a lot of the younger guys to be 18th man. This is a text. Lads, surely Sam Walker is a future and should be ahead of Dearden in getting a look into camp. Roosters, brah.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Cockle-doodle-doo. Thoughts on that, Smithy?
Look, I think, again, I'll say I wasn't deep in the selection discussions, but, Sammy Walker's certainly, he's a representative player of the future if he continues his rise in the NRL ranks. But I think just given the way the Cowboys are playing at the moment, the position they're in, the way Tom Dearden's playing, he's got the nod in front of him.
Yeah, it's really interesting because they're actually quite different players. You know what I mean? So
right.
You're going for different.
They play totally different.
Totally different. So it's really it's actually not as simple as they're both halves, so they're competing for positions.
Yep.
Because they're actually probably competing for different positions long term.
That's right.
Now we've got some more questions here. Morning, boys. Love the show. Do you know if the Maroons will be having an open training session when you guys head over here to Perth? Cheers, Braden.
Braden, I've got no idea, mate. That's game 2. I think all Queenslanders are concentrating on game 1.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
But if we do, it'll just check out all the QRL websites.
Yep.
Socials, all that sort of stuff. That'll be posted up, mate.
Yeah, check the I think it's qrl.com.au, and that should have all the plan there. I got some more text here. Hey guys, what do you think the best spine for the Titans are? Where do you see AJ fitting into the team with Foran coming next year? Also, do you think Booth should be hooker?
Boothie. Well, he moved up. He moved up from Melbourne and started the year out playing a couple of Reggies and got injured. So he actually come up, and had some shoulder surgery, Boothie, and he come back and played. And I think he may have tore his hammy or strained a hammy, something like that, like a hammy or a calf. So he's missed a bit of footy. I think he's back playing now. Look, he's a great player. It's a difficult one, and if they can build a spine that they know they can keep there for some years to come, and keep them in those spots, they'll certainly grow as a footy side. And you can see in stages of the game that they lack a little bit of that experience. Like, look, go back to last week's game, Kempy. The Titans are up 24-4 with 30 minutes to play in the match, and they unfortunately just couldn't get the job done.
Yeah.
Like that's a winning position if you've ever seen one. It doesn't matter who you're playing against,
yes.
right?
Yes.
But a couple of decisions made, like a short kickoff. They're up by 14. Like Broncos score a try, it's 24-10. They're up by 14. I think 20 minutes to go. They go for a short kickoff. Corey Pakes ends up picking the ball up, making a line break, drawing the fullback and giving it to Jordan Ricky, and all of a sudden, their lead's down to 4 points. And it was just game over.
Beautiful game of football.
You got the finger
got
waving.
The fingers up. Let's go, boys. Greatest comeback of all time. But we will also be coming back after this break with the best hand segment by Schnitz. And you know how much we love Schnitty. After that, though, we'll be going in a deep dive in this incredible Payne Haas situation at the Broncos and where they are at as a club to be able to say, no, we're standing firm. Anyway, we'll see you on the other side.
Time now to break down the best hands in the NRL. Thanks to Schnitz, the best hands in the schnitzel business.
Oh, yeah, it's that time again. Best hands, thanks to Schnitz, the best Schnitz in all of the game. Incredible. Smithy?
Yes.
What have we got here? The best hands from the weekend.
Righto, straight into it, Kempy. 1 point this week, Toby Sexton's 20-metre cutout pass for Corey Thompson. I think it was Tomo's first try.
Yes.
First try of the year.
Yep.
We even asked him before the game. We said, mate, you going to score one? He spoke to us during the warm-up.
Really? On the
coverage.
cam? Wow.
Yeah, Channel 9. I think
out.
first time we've done that, Channel 9. But hope everyone enjoyed that at home. But maybe brought a bit of good luck to him.
Mate,
scored the first try.
Mate, that ball was just so mint.
I was mint. Love it. I love seeing those big, long cutout passes as long as it hits your teammate on the chest.
It doesn't go in the third row.
And it doesn't, or it doesn't go up the other end for the opposition try under the sticks. Great work, Toby and Tomo. 2 points. Herbie Farnworth, flick passes.
They're everywhere.
How good are they?
It's like everyone can do them now,
so
too.
Ezra Mam, right, first try in the NRL, second game, first try. he laid one on for Billy Walters
Mm.
last week. The old flick pass. He
Yeah.
was about to be tackled. He's going to ground. He flicked it sort of over his back. I don't even know how he's got that sort of range in the shoulders. But anyway, he's a young man. That's why. And he got one himself from Herbie. How good's Herbie Farnworth playing?
Mate,
Just quietly.
I've rated through the times of Broncos struggling. Herbie has been one of the very few Broncos that always consistently plays the way Broncos should play.
Played a bit of footy on the Gold Coast. Spoke to him after the game last week.
Yeah, he's a Pom too, isn't he? He's an Englishman.
Yeah, he is. He is a Pommy. Yep. I think he played a bit of footy at Burleigh.
Really?
Burleigh Bears.
Okay, Burleigh Bears.
Anyway,
Local.
and then 3 points.
Your man.
My man, Cameron Munster, he had a night out, didn't he?
Who
Played
taught him this?
Really well.
Oh my God!
I think he learned it on the streets of Rockhampton when he was a young fella.
Just stealing the ball.
Strip. Not taking his clothes off. The one-on-one strip. He stole the ball off George Tafua.
Mm.
George Tafua, he was carting the ball off his own line. I think it was 15 metres out or something like that. So you're probably thinking, I'm relatively safe here. They're just gonna try and stop my meters, take me to the ground. I'll play the ball. Well, no, Cameron Munster, he's thought, well, I'll just rip the footy out of his grasp here. Ripped it out, threw a dummy, scored a try. It was just one of those nights for Cameron Munster. I think he had 2 one-on-one strips.
Yeah, in the space of like 10 minutes.
Just crazy. Like got Melbourne rolling. It was a bit of a not much happening sort of a game.
Yes.
Up to that point, but then he just that's when they sort of kicked away a little bit from Manly. So they were my 3 nominations.
That was best hands thanks to Snitch. Bite into golden, delicious, handcrafted schnitz. After the break, we'll wrap up the first hour. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Make sure if you're not listening to the app, download the SEN app or follow us at SEN League on Instagram. That's where all your news is located for SEN. Or you can also subscribe to our podcast on Apple and Spotify under the Captain's Run. But we have to get into this now, Smithy. Payne Haas.
Okay.
So basically, long story short, they were negotiating. He wanted an upgrade. The Broncos said, we cannot do that. We cannot afford it. You are currently have already been upgraded from your initial deal. So he signed an initial deal with Wayne Bennett. It was about 5-6 years, averaged out to be about $500K a year. Last year he went to the club and he said, I deserve more. And the Broncos said, you know what? We really appreciate you. We want you long term. We will upgrade you. Matter of fact, we'll upgrade you and we won't even ask for anything in return. You don't have to extend.
Just a straight-out upgrade.
Straight-out upgrade.
Pay you more.
Just because they respected him and saw him as a long-term thing. Didn't need to do it, but they did it.
Yep.
So anyway, he's on $750 this year and is reportedly about $850 next year. They go back in this year and say, no, we want to be on $1 million next year and then 1.2 the following year.
Wow.
The Broncos said, no, unfortunately we can't do that. Payne Haas's management sent an email on Wednesday night, said, we would like an immediate release. The Broncos said, we will not be granting that.
Yep.
Anyway, fast forward to today. Payne has come out and said that I am going to stay at the club till the end of the season. We will negotiate it when the season is finished. I don't want this distracting from the Broncos' year.
Right.
And so the Broncos have agreed to put negotiations on hold until the end of the year. Thoughts on this situation, Steve?
Well, what's changed in that time from asking for an immediate release to now? To say, actually, no, I'm happy to stay. Like, what's changed?
Yeah.
Has there been any developments?
There's no developments outside of, he was booed by his own fan.
He was. And look, if I must say, if he was surprised by that, he shouldn't be, because given the situation as you just mentioned about the club putting a lot of faith into Payne Haas, and also investing a lot of money in him.
Yeah.
Like let's remember $750,000. It's $750,000 a year. Okay. Now I know he's a great footballer. Everyone knows that, and he plays well every time he pulls on that jersey. Okay, as you should when you're getting paid $750,000.
Absolutely.
But then to go to the club and say, well, look, I want an immediate release. I don't know if he thought that response was going to come.
Yeah,
from the fans, and I was there. So I called that game.
Oh, okay. You were there. You were in the cauldron.
I called the Broncos-Titans game, and it was a pretty healthy crowd for the M1 Derby, as they call it.
Yep.
But when I knew it was going to happen, so when they put the profiles up on the big screen
Oh, yeah, yeah.
pre-game,
Yeah.
when they announced like the team, like number 8, Payne Haas, he got booed then.
Wow.
And it was loud.
Wow.
So up in the commentary box, you sort of knew it was coming.
Oh, wow.
And they did not stop all night. I think they cheered him once when he had a really strong carry.
Nearly broke the line to score.
Yep, had a really strong carry. Might have been twice. It was that one, and I think he had a really strong carry, sort of coming off his line. It was sort of Titans had a really strong defensive set. They needed a big run from one of their players. He provided that. He made about 12 or 14 meters. They clapped him then, but every other carry, every time he touched the ball, they booed him, which wasn't great. Like you made your point at the start. His first touch, booed him. Second touch, booed him. I think from then, like as fans, like just let it go, like drop off. You've made your point. Okay, I completely understand the disappointment, and I think shock and disappointment, which that would probably best describe where Broncos supporters were at. Particularly like the members that pay their hard-earned to go and watch their team play, and that membership money helps pay players. Like let's not forget that.
Absolutely.
That helps pay the players' wages. So for your player to then turn around and say, "Look, I'm not happy getting paid $750,000. I want an immediate release. My team's just won, what was it, 5 or 6 in a row?
Six in a row on that night.
Yeah, so 5 in a row leading into that game.
Yeah.
To say, well, look, I'm happy to jeopardise our season by causing some disruption. I think they were just showing their disappointment, disapproval of what he did. But yeah, as I said, I think they could have dropped off earlier.
Yeah.
But it's just a strange situation. Now we know that there's a lot of stuff going on in the background with his former management. Wasn't happy with certain things, that the way they were set up and whatnot, but I just feel, Kempy, that I feel as though as a footballer, as a member of a club, when you agree to a contract, okay, you're saying to your respective club that you sign with, I agree and I'm happy with the offer that you've put in front of me, and I'm happy to sign that contract and play out to those terms. Those terms are the length of the contract and the value that we've reached. Yeah. Okay. The agreed value that you're going to pay me, my salary. Now, to say that you're playing well and I want an upgrade and I want this, like, what would you say to the club if that was in reverse? Yeah. So if you weren't playing well, if you're on $750,000 a year and you're not playing well, and let's say the head of football or the CEO comes to you and your management and say, listen, we're not particularly happy with the way you're playing. You're not really giving us too much on the football field. We want to take half of your payback. Would you say, oh, okay? Would you agree to that? No,
I'd be on 25 grand then.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like so flip the tables.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Would you say, oh, look, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Look, cut me wage in half. Yeah, you're right. I'm not playing that well.
Yeah.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
Yeah.
You would ever do that.
Absolutely.
So don't expect it to go the other way. When you agree, okay, you're saying yes.
Yeah.
To the club to say, yep, I'm happy with that. So just play it out.
Yeah.
Play it out, particularly with what's happened previously, where you've gone in and said, look, I'm playing some pretty good football. I'd like to sort of renegotiate, and the club were forthcoming. They said, yeah, hey mate, agree. We're going to upgrade you. We're going to pay you more. Don't expect you to extend. We'd love you to, but we're not even going to put that on you. We're just going to, the terms that you're on now, the length of the contract, we'll just start paying you more. Okay? And they actually give him a huge contract first up, I believe, as like an 18 or 19-year-old. I think he played 6 first-grade games.
Three first grade. Yeah.
3 first-grade games, okay? And then said, mate, listen, here's $600,000. Here's $600,000 after 6 matches. So, I think I think as footballers, you just need to step back a little bit and say, listen, I made a decision to commit myself to this football club. At that time, okay, I agreed to this pay. Yep. I agreed to this length of time, and I'll see it out. If at some stage, okay, that I feel as though we could go back and ask the question of maybe getting paid a little bit more, I'm really enjoying my time at this footy club. I'd like to stick around and play a bit longer. Can we extend? That's okay. But you got to remember too. You're playing in a squad. Okay, like every player can't get paid $1 million. It just cannot happen. There's only 9.6 million available.
Yeah.
So unless you want to play with guys on, 25,000, you got to be willing to sacrifice a little bit.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah. No, mate. I totally agree. I agree with absolutely everything you said. Do you feel his management hasn't advised him correctly and hasn't put his best interest, his new management, because now his reputation has taken a
it's taken a hit.
Huge hit.
It's taken a hit, and the best thing he's done is come back and said, "Listen, no, I'm staying."
Yeah.
Okay.
Really smart.
Now, obviously, there's been some discussions, fairly swift ones. I think particularly after the reception he got at Suncorp Stadium last week from his own fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could only imagine what that would have been like for him. Yeah, actually, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
To be honest, getting booed by your own fans. That would be such an awful feeling. And to his credit, he actually played really well.
He did.
He played strong again, as everyone knew he would.
Yeah.
Okay, as everyone knew he would. Now, you'd like to think that when you put your trust in people that are going to look after you, they're going to look after your best interest. Now, I'm talking about management, agents, whatever you want to call them, advisors. You'd like to think, they're going to give you their opinion or their advice, and it's all in your best interest. The thing that came out last week asking for an immediate release, that was so out of the blue and a shock to everyone in the game, I believe. I just don't know whether that was it wasn't the right decision. It was bad timing. Out of all of it, it was really poor timing.
Oh, man, really poor timing. And what I'm not understanding is I would understand if, let's say he was on 300 grand or 250, and it was this massive play by his management of we may be able to get you an extra 750 grand a year.
Yep.
But this, his reputation has taken a hit over literally 100 to 200K, and that's a lot of money.
Yes.
But when you're already earning 750, it doesn't change your life at all.
No.
At all.
Well, I think, isn't there, I hope I'm not misquoting or not remembering this properly, but it's something like there's information out there if you're making $100,000 a year, anything after that, it doesn't change your life that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Diminishing returns.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So Payne's making way more than he's making 7 times that much. He's making 700,000. So as you said, 750 to 900 or $1 million, it's not going to change his life dramatically.
Yeah. And that's the thing is what will change his life dramatically is his own fans booing him that. You can't.
Absolutely.
And you can't buy that back. Now I do believe Payne Haas is the kind of player, because he gets on the field and he leaves it all out there. I think he can definitely earn the love back. I think that the fans will see. Okay, you know what? Little mistake.
It's the only way he gets it back.
Yeah.
It's the only way he gets that trust and the respect back from his fans is to go out and play like he does every week. Okay, we're not questioning his ability or his commitment to playing football, because he shows every week that he goes out and plays well. It's one of his biggest strengths is his consistency.
Yes.
Okay, and we've seen that over the last 2 or 3 years at the Broncos. But it's just such a big call it's just knocked him down a few pegs, I believe, in the eyes of the Broncos, faithful.
Yeah, and to be honest,
it's so unfortunate.
It's so unfortunate, and it really, the problem is let's say Broncos come out for the next few weeks and start playing poorly. Guess who's getting blamed?
Oh, the fingers pointed straight at Payne Haas.
Even if it's not his fault, even if Broncos were always destined to go out and lose those 4 games,
and if he's playing, he could be the best player on the field still,
and he'll still get the blame for it. So, look, I really do hope this can get worked out, and I also think that if I'm being totally honest, and I really want Haas to stay. I understand it was a mistake, and I understand all that. But as an ex-player, I love what he brings to the jersey.
Yep.
And all that matters usually, obviously you don't want him asking for releases, but all that matters usually is actions are louder than words.
Yes.
And if he can come out and perform,
yep,
that's all you can ask. But
the club, the club well and truly want him to stay.
100%. Yeah, I mean they're trying to extend. They're trying to extend. But I would say, is there a club that's really going to pay $1 million a year for a front rower?
Well, that's the most difficult thing, because like as good as you are as a prop in the competition, the $1 million, like there's probably 3 or 4 players in the comp that really should be getting paid $1 million, and they're the guys that have a huge influence on the result every week. Now I'm talking about like setting up points, having a say on what the scoreboard looks like at the end of the game. Now Payne Haas certainly gets through a mountain of work, and he does a lot of great things for that footy side. But the thing about hard workers, guys that can carry the ball strong, you can develop those players. You can find them. You can find them sort of, if you look hard enough, you can find them everywhere. But guys like Cleary, guys like Cam Munster, guys like Tom Trbojevic, they don't pop up all that often.
Yeah.
They are generational players.
Yeah. In my opinion, if I'm paying you $1 million, we must be playing top 8 footy. If you can't get me into the top 8, in my opinion, you're not worth $1 million. That's
every year of your contract.
Every year of your contract. And that's where you go. Cleary, in any team, I think he'd get them top 8.
Yep.
Munster, in any team, in my opinion, would get them to the top 8. Anyway, we're going to go to a caller. We've got Adrian from Canberra. Adrian, you there, mate?
Yeah, I'm there, mate. How are you guys going?
Good, buddy. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you. Just a quick one on this whole Payne Haas situation. I heard you talking on the DMP and on the Monday potty about you could see a Bulldogs, for instance, paying someone like a Selwyn Cobbo $1 million a year because he's got that much potential and he's the next big throbber and he's going to be great. But you can't see a club paying a Payne Haas, who I think's already proven that he is the next big thing. He's winning like awards left, right, and centre. He's only 22. I think I agree with you guys just there. I think only players like your Cleary, your Munster probably deserve that $1 million price tag. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on how you could see a Cobbo getting $1 million a year at a struggling club, but you couldn't see a Payne Haas getting $1 million a year.
Yeah, mate, it's a great question. And just to be clear, I said that the Bulldogs and a club like the Tigers would consider $1 million a year for Selwyn. I personally believe that I wouldn't pay $1 million for him right now. I think that, but I do believe that those clubs are in a position where they would genuinely consider. And the reason why I do is that, Selwyn Cobbo at fullback, long term. Imagine if you sign the next Greg Inglis. Would it be worth $1 million, do you think? Let's assume Selwyn Cobbo becomes 90% of the player of Greg Inglis. Do you reckon he'd be worth $1 million?
Yeah, 100%. I think Greg Inglis is arguably the greatest outside back of all time.
It's a fair investment.
But it's a fair investment.
All my argument was you can sign someone on potential, but Payne Haas is already there doing it now. So could you see a Bulldog or a Tigers paying him?
But that's the thing, though. He's not. He's incredible, but the Broncos are wooden spoon and 14th. So we've seen, he's absolutely incredible. He's generational talent, but he has not been able to drag the Broncos into top 8. Whereas a guy like Greg Inglis, and again, I'm saying Greg Inglis, we don't know whether Selwyn Cobbo will be, but there's a very good chance he could be similar-ish, or at least a good chance. And so that's why I believe that you would consider. I'm not saying that they would pay $1 million, but I do believe conversations would be had of like, ooh, could we do it? Could we not do it? Whereas Payne, for example, he's been at a bottom 8 club, and unfortunately, the front row only has so much impact in a game. There's only so much the front row can do.
Well, and there's been significant change in the Broncos this year as well. Adam Reynolds coming across. I know he's missed a few games, but he's made a huge difference to that footy club. Kirk Capewell, you throw him in the mix too, and then you got guys like Flegler, Carrigan. They're playing.
Yeah,
they've also improved, which is only helping the cause with the Broncos. And Payne Haas, as we mentioned, Adrian, like he's still playing great footy, like he has in the past couple of years. But he's had some help. He's had a lot more help this year. He's had the injection of Reynolds, Capewell. You throw Ryan James in there as well. 3 guys that Kevin Walters has spoken about glowingly about the influence they've had on this footy side with their leadership. And just their general traits around the park that's improved and elevated their younger players into playing the footy they're playing right now.
And just quickly, Adrian, I think like it's not necessarily a Payne Haas thing. It does honestly any front rower. Like it's not Payne Haas specifically.
No.
It's essentially like any front row. I just don't think that they can impact the game as much as, say, a fullback, a 6 or a 7. But it's a great question. It's a really good question because maybe I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
You could use the argument with Ponga, kind of, when he went to the Knights. He not $1 million, but he was signed for potential to turn the club around, and they're still struggling.
But he did though. He did, but he did turn the club around. They got into the 8. They were wooden spoon, and they were playing the 8 last 3. Ever since the last 3 years, they've been playing in the 8. But you're right though. It's a great question, and we can talk till the cows come home. But I really do appreciate the call, brother.
Yeah.
Good on you, Adrian.
Yeah, of course.
See you, bros.
Thank you, mate.
Great question, Adrian. Great question. And you know what? Text in. Let us know what you think. Is Payne Haas worth $1 million, and what club would purchase him for it? But we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to continue previewing Origin. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. As you heard, we love it when people call in. Great question from Adrian. Call in 1300 or 1300, 01 1170. Ask me your Origin questions. But before that, we're going to get to the Bailey Ladders. Welcome back to the Bailey Ladders segment. Time to break down which young players are climbing up the Bailey ladder. Workside trusted for over 60 years.
We've got a Bailey's ladder in the studio again.
Literally beside us.
It's right beside me.
Yeah.
Did it just appear now, or has it been the whole time?
It's literally just appeared, I think. Some bloke streaming.
It just appears for this segment.
Product placement. Perfect. It's perfect kind of stuff. Look, if we need to get anything done in this office, there's only one ladder I would use, and it's Bailey Ladders.
Yep. Trusted for 60 years. Okay. My nominations this week. Excuse me. First up, Toby Sexton. In a losing side, Sexton had one line break assist, 2 try assists, kick for over 300 metres. Now, if you looked at those stats alone, you're thinking, mate, he's the winning 7.
Yes.
But no.
No, he was not.
No. They found a way to lose the Titans.
Surely the Titans can go to him and say, look at that first half, mate. More of that.
Let's just repeat that. Can we do that twice?
Just do it twice, we win.
Do it twice. And would have been a huge win, really, too. Wouldn't it have been? Against the Broncos, riding high, they won 5 in a row.
Yep, at Suncorp.
Wasn't to be. They get another chance against their Queensland counterparts, North Queensland Cowboys. We'll preview that a bit later on, but that's on tonight. Make sure you tune in and watch that one. Number 2, Jake Averillo. He's only 21. Again, so many young players playing well. Averillo had 2 tries, ran for over 100 metres, had 2 line breaks against the Drags. Good game, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I like about that is Averillo, was kind of forced into that 7 role. They eventually realised, he's not really a 7, and we're starting to see where he kind of supposed to play rugby league in NRL. Outside backs, good ball runner, good finisher. So, yeah, really good game by Averillo.
And the third one is Anari Tuala. Just made his way back into the side, Nui, and he finished with 2 tries, ran for 100 metres, had 3 line breaks and a try assist.
Mate, Tuala,
that's a fair effort as an outside back.
Absolutely. Tuala is, he's really underrated at the Knights. I don't think he gets enough raps. I think the last season especially was easily the best year of his career, and he's been injured. And obviously first game back to 3 line breaks, first game back.
Yep.
Incredible.
Now that's all like stats on with the footy. I think where he does a lot of his best work, Kempy, is off the ball.
Yeah,
he does a lot of great work with his back 3 stuff, like covering kicks and his cover defense, outstanding. He's just a good all round young player.
That was thanks to Bailey Ladders bringing safety and efficiency to the worksite for over 60 years. After the break, we will reflect on the great career of Ray Warren. Welcome back to the Captain's Run, and we remember the great career of Ray Warren, who announced his retirement yesterday. The voice of rugby league, undeniable.
Oh, absolutely. And if you think back, particularly people sort of my age, even yours, Kempy.
Absolutely.
If you think back to when you were little, watching rugby league growing up, particularly the big matches, there's only one voice that springs to mind, and that's Ray Warren.
Yeah.
It was a little bit. It was a bit of a sad day yesterday because you have so many memories of watching rugby league, particularly State of Origin. All the big matches like the grand finals, all these type of things. Even if you're not a league fan and you think about some of those Olympics where he commentated, like the swimming.
Yes.
A lot of the great gold medals that our athletes were able to win at the Olympics. In the swimming pool, Rabs commentated that. He called those big moments. So you're sort of thinking back and you're like, wow, he's a type of person that you just thought, well, he'll be on TV forever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
His voice will just be there. It's just part of your life.
Yep.
And for myself and yourself, we heard in the intro of the captain's run. You know, we were very lucky to play in the NRL and the games and a lot of our stuff that we did.
Yeah.
In our footy career, it was called by Rabs.
It's crazy.
So, you know, I think for myself, and I think I can speak on your behalf too, like we feel very fortunate that we had that opportunity.
Mate. We played it before the game. Vossi just played the tries against Para. Every time I hear that, I just feel, I can't believe the great Ray Warren called it.
Yeah.
Said my name.
Yeah.
On a sunk, like, I cannot believe it. I feel so grateful.
Yeah, and I was saying to you when we heard that play, like I got goosebumps.
Yeah,
just from like the roar of the crowd, but it's mostly Rabs's animation of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He adds so much to it.
You scored 4, but it was just like his voice, the way he would call that play. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
What's one of your favourite lines? One of my favourite lines from Rabs was, "That's not a try. That's a miracle."
Yeah. I think that's the first one that springs to mind. But as a most certainly, though, I think that's on top. But another one, it's a line that I'll never ever forget. And being a Broncos fan as a young fella, I still remember. I think this might have been a semi-final.
Yeah.
But Broncos were playing down at the Sydney Football Stadium, and Alan Cairn scored a try.
Yeah.
And as when Rab said, he beat about 4 players. And for those of you that remember Alan Cairn, he was sort of like a edge, like his back rower, really short, sort of stocky little fella, powerful little fella. But he beat about 4 or 5 defenders, scored a try, and I remember him, like, the call was, somebody stop him or he'll run out of the stadium. I just remember because like I was a huge Broncos fan, like they had a really big win, but just that moment, like that, I think those two, the coin try and then the can try for the Broncos, those two I think are, sit above everything else.
You know what else is etched in my memory? It's a positive and negative, but I thought it was so just really well called. 2015 final where I forget the exact words, but he says, he's won the grand final and maybe, immortality or something along those lines for JT as he kicks that field goal. Mate, no one will replace Ray Warren. And it truly feels like a piece of the game has been taken out,
Oh, absolutely.
Like who's going to,
absolutely. And as I said, Leo, it's sort of people from our generation.
Yeah.
And above us, like our parents and whatnot. It's just been Rabs for so long, and he's a great man. Everyone here at the Captain's Run, we want to wish him all the very best in whatever he's doing now. He's retired, he deserves it. But we just want to thank you, Rabs, for everything that you've done for not only our game, but sport in Australia. You're an absolute legend, mate.
Absolutely. And so much so, I didn't even grow up playing rugby league, and I still knew Ray Warren.
Yeah.
That's how big his reach was.
Yes.
Smithy said it perfectly. Thank you so much for what you did for the game. Now, let's get into a preview of the round. We've got the Titans versus North Queensland Cowboys.
Big game.
Big game. I actually think that I'm liking the Cowboys quite a lot.
Even without the
Well, they've still got
players?
Townsend.
Yes.
They've still got Jason Taumalolo.
Yeah, Tuolangi and the Hammer come back.
Tuolangi and the Hammer come back. So they've got Hiku still in the back. They've still got Scott Drinkwater.
Well, this is the thing. With the Cowboys. So over the last few years, you'd probably say no chance because they lacked a little bit of depth, lose a couple of players to representative footy, and you're probably thinking, well, no, that's going to be a little bit tough for them. But mentioning those players, you're missing a few. You're taking out, Tom Dearden can't play. He's 18th man. Nanai, Val Holmes, Reuben Cotter. You'd think, a little bit too tough, but they're replaced with players that are first grade quality. You're not replacing them with guys that are sort of fringies or reserve graders that get their, sort of 2 or 3 games a year around that rep period. You're getting Jason Taumalolo back.
Crazy.
It's just so, this is, and they're in really, really good form.
Even last week, they had terrible completion. But I actually thought their defence was outstanding. I know they got beaten 22-0,
Yep.
and the scoreboard doesn't reflect that.
Yep.
But when you actually watched the game and watched how many points probably should have been put on them,
Yeah.
I think they did pretty well
Yeah,
defensively.
away from home.
Yeah.
Big test for them down at Penrith. And, Penrith were Penrith. They played really well, as they always do. But they put up a pretty good fight, the Cows. The Titans, big out Tino. Huge. He was enormous last week. I don't know if you seen his game. 260 metres or something.
Crazy.
That might be a little bit inflated.
No, he was up there.
But it was
up there.
100. He was at 170 first half.
Yeah, it was definitely over 200. Incredible.
Yeah. So that's a huge out. He put in a massive performance against the Broncos. So who comes in and fills that role? Mo Fotuaika back. He had a bit of an ankle issue. He's back. Isaac Liu, he moves into that starting spot.
Yeah.
Dave Fafita, he's out again. He stirred up that knee last week. He come back. First game last week, but he's aggravated that injury again. Difficult one. They just Titans just need to find that first half where that's as good as footy as they played all year.
Literally,
As good as footy as they played. And the thing I really enjoyed about it was that their key position players were getting their hands on the football.
yeah.
Okay, like they had their ruck players. They were doing their job. They were getting the ball in their hands, taking the ball forward, creating momentum. And when they did, that's when Sexton, Brimson, and Campbell. That's when they went to work.
Absolutely.
Okay, they went to work and they created opportunities. Toby Sexton, his kicking game in the first half was
Outstanding.
2
or 3 repeat sets.
created a couple of tries.
Yeah.
So they just need to play that style of footy for 80 minutes. If they can put together an 80-minute game of footy and just play smart in the moments where they need to play smart, that they're a chance of winning it.
Yeah. They just 80 minutes. It sounds so cliche, and you hear it every single week.
Yeah, it sounds boring,
Yeah,
but that's
really
all it is.
It really is. But if they can get this win, though, it's just going to help their confidence so much. So it's truly, they just need a win to buoy them. Because the tough thing for the Titans is that when you play that first half and you blow the Broncos off the park, the evidence is there. You can be a top 8 side. So it's not like some other sides where it's like, they're just not really at that level yet. Whereas the Titans are at that level.
Yeah.
They just can't put 80 minutes together.
Well, if they match themselves up, I know they end up getting beat the way they did last week against the Broncos. But for 50 minutes, the Broncos are sitting, fourth?
Fourth.
Okay, they're
Outright.
fourth in this, in this competition. They are fourth, and the Titans had them on the rack. They were toast, the Broncos,
absolutely.
for 50 minutes, 55 minutes. They just needed to find a way just to manage that final 30 minutes, and they were home. So, and that would have been just proof to themselves that they can compete with the sides up in the top 4, top 8.
Absolutely. Now we're going to head to a break. After the break, though, we're going to continue previewing the round of footy. Give us a call, 1300 01 1170, or text us 0457 736 736. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with the great Smithy. Check out the Captain's Run podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. All you got to do is just click the catch-up button on the SEN app as well if you download the SEN app, and you can listen to the show at your leisure. But let's get into a preview. We've got the Penny Panthers versus the Bulldogs. Now, if there's one team desperate for a win, it's the Bulldogs. Obviously, they sacked Trent Barrett a couple of weeks ago.
Yep, Mick Potter now coaching.
Gus Gould has come out and said he's had no applications for the job. So he even said he's not thinking about it. He said he hasn't thought about it. But
come on, Gus.
He's the best. He's the best at it.
Yeah.
Now, the Penny Panthers, severely understrengthed. Is this the perfect game to get the Bulldogs back on track when you consider last year it was the game that the Tigers managed to get a win over the Panthers?
I give them every chance. I do. I really do. If you're ever a chance of beating Penrith, it's this week without, in particular, Cleary, Luai and Yo out. But Brian To'o, one of their main meter eaters, guy that does a lot of great things for them too. He's not playing. Api Coruscant, he's been released from Blues camp to go back and play, so that's a big in for them. But if there's ever a chance to beat them, it's in this game. Although Penrith are playing at home, again, they're just so hard to beat there. They've lost one in the last 22 or 23 matches.
And I just want to name a few blokes they still got.
Okay, sorry.
Talon May.
Yes.
Tungor.
Yes.
Fisher Harris.
Yeah, I know. It's
Leota.
crazy. It's crazy.
It's Dylan Edwards.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. I'm not saying the Bulldogs are going to win. I'm saying if there's ever an opportunity
This is it.
to beat this side, it's now.
Absolutely.
But, Sean O'Sullivan, he comes in and wears that number 7 jersey for Nathan Cleary. Seen him produce great great performances in the first couple of rounds. A lot of people were saying it might be the time where Penrith might struggle in those first few rounds, that Nathan Cleary wasn't there, but they didn't lose, and he played really strongly. So he'll be at 7. Kurt Falls. Do you know much about Kurt Falls? He's making his NRL debut.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I watched him in the trials, and he was solid. He was solid. He had some good play, some good touches.
Yep.
And also in reserve grade, he's had some solid outings as well. So the thing is, with clubs like Penrith and similar to with the Storm, it's their reserve 7 and 6s are usually pretty good.
Yeah.
Usually they're pretty good.
And they just fall straight into that system.
Yes. So I actually think, watch Kurt Falls. He could be one to watch for sure, especially, if you're a club looking to recruit, because, he's never going to get the jersey off Cleary or Luai. And if he goes well, he could be a 7 of the future for you. So, look, I actually just think that although it is a great opportunity for the Doggies, I just think the Penny Panthers are going to be too strong.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. It's hard to knock the champions, eh?
Yeah.
It really is. And as you said, like the one thing that makes Penrith so strong is that they, from player 1 all the way down to say 30, they're all well trained. They've got great skill and they know their system.
Yes.
Okay, so they just come in and they fall straight into that Penrith system where they know exactly what's required of them in that particular position they're playing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's just a style of footy that they just fall into and they just continue on.
And systems, when to have great line speed, when to try to keep the ball in play. All of these things, they may not be done at the same level that Cleary can do them.
That's right.
But 10% less still may be enough.
Still good.
It's still really good. Really good. Yeah, so look, I think this is a really good opportunity, though, for the Dogs. Now, I'm pretty sure, I think Dufty has been dropped from the side. That's what was reported yesterday.
Okay.
Again, that's just reported, not confirmed yet. With the Doggies, they've got Tavita Pangai Jr. out, sidelined, and he is really their go-to guy when it comes to breaking games apart. Yep. How do you see them winning the game?
Again, difficult. Every time we preview a game, which includes the Panthers, it's a really hard one.
Yeah.
Like even when we previewed like the Storm one.
Yes.
It's just, again, you need to be a little bit unorthodox, and you got to be prepared to start well. You got to be prepared to start well and continue that energy and play with some physicality.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, the good sides like Penrith, they will dominate you.
Yeah.
They will just dominate you. They will grind you into the ground, and they're happy to not score points early. What they're trying to do is they're just trying to sap all the energy, all the life out of you. So at some point in the game, as the game wears on, particularly in the second half, you feel as though it's just too hard. And you're just getting strangled or suffocated by the way they're playing.
I mean, Cowboys last week, perfect example.
Yep.
They hung in, but eventually just opened up.
Eventually, like when you watch Penrith, and they've mastered, they've got this ability right now which makes them so good. Okay, is that you can watch them and you're like, there's not a lot of flash things happening and blah blah, and all of a sudden they've put 20 on the opposition.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
True.
Like that's just the way they're playing at the moment. It's just like, well, they haven't done anything too spectacular today. They're not, it's not too much razzle dazzle. Oh, hang on a minute. They're winning by 20.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so true, too. You look up 10 minutes later, and it's try, and you're going, oh, wow, what just happened there? But we're going to head to the break. After the break, we're going to go to your texts, and then in the final hour, we'll continue previewing the games, but we'll have a deep dive into Origin preview and how each team can win the first game of the series. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with the great Smithy. We've got some text, Smithy. What do we got there, mate?
No, we've got a few here. Well, it says, hey, Smithy, Jake from the Gold Coast, mate, wanted to hear more about 3 of your worst Origin memories or plays. Not the best, just the worst. Up the Maroons. Why do you want to hear about the worst one if you're a Maroons
Jeez.
fan? 3 of the worst. Okay, probably watching. Probably out of the time I spent in that team, probably watching the Blues lift the shield.
Yes.
In 2004, 5, and then 2014.
What hurt more, you reckon? 4 or 5 or 14?
14.
Really, because of that run.
14. We'd won 8 in a row, and I'm not being selfish or just greedy, but we wanted that run to continue.
Yeah.
We just wanted it to keep going.
Mate.
We're looking at 10.
Oh,
that would have been nice.
Oh man, and you
that's right. A little blip on the radar.
Okay,
you can't be greedy.
Can't be greedy. 8 in a row. I think that's enough. I think we can appreciate that. After the news, we're going to continue our round 13 preview and also have a deep dive into a preview of Origin 1. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with myself and the great Smithy. Let's get into a preview. Manly Sea Eagles versus the New Zealand Warriors, 7:35 Saturday night at 4 Pines Park. Sea Eagles to Powell, Saab, Lawton all return for them. Foran moves into the halfback role for Cherry. Schuster is named at 5'8". In the team news for New Zealand Warriors, hooker Wade Egan and back rower Bailey Sirenin have been named to return for the Warriors, replacing Freddie Lossick and Dynamis Louis. Thoughts about this game, Smithy?
Manly at home, obviously missing their skipper, Daly Cherry Evans, in the Queensland side at the moment. Kieran Foran goes to half. Look, he's playing outstanding, Kieran Foran. Schuster, though.
Silky
to
Schuster.
Play at number 6. I think it's his favoured position.
It is.
I think, and that's where he wants to play.
Here's your opportunity.
He wants to eventually move into that 6 jersey and play there long term. So great opportunity for him.
Massive.
And he is silky. Like he's got great skill. He's got time. When he's got the ball in his hands, it's like he just slows the game down. Slows the game down, and just his ability to get the ball, holds it out in 2 hands, just sort of half mesmerises the defence. Plays really square at the line too.
Yeah.
So he holds up the opposition defenders and just create space. Well, he doesn't create space. What he does is he just maintains space on the outside for his outside men. And just his ability, like he's just got lovely touch with his hands. Nice soft passes. Great opportunity for him to say, hey, listen, I'm putting my hand up. I'm your future 6.
Yeah.
Which I think that they've sort of penciled him in with Foz moving on to the Titans next year. But I think Manly can win this one. I think they can. They're in a position like a lot of like the Titans where some games they look really good, and then others you're just like, where's that Manly team I seen last week? Where have they gone? And they can do that. They can do that inside the 80-minute games as well.
Absolutely,
can't they?
Even against the Storm, for a lot of that game, they were in it.
Yeah,
maybe like 50 minutes. You're sitting there going, "Wow, this is a Manly without Tommy Trbojevic."
Yeah, that's right.
And then just boom, out of nowhere.
Yep, that's right. And mentioning what we spoke about earlier too with Jake missing out, I'm pretty sure he'll be in for an absolute blinder.
Absolutely.
What are you thinking here? Particularly from a Warriors point of view.
Mate, it's a tough one in the Warriors because unfortunately we're officially back to the old Warriors. We started the year
Rocks and diamonds. Are you talking about?
We just don't know. 1 week we're going to rock up and we're going to have a crack and 60 minutes, 70 minutes, 20 minutes. And the disappointing thing is at the start of the season we actually the New Zealand Warriors put together 4 or 5 good weeks. They actually won, I think, 3 on the trot, and it probably should have been 4, except they had some really tough calls against them, against the Roosters.
Yes.
And so it almost feels like the Warriors might need to take another step back to take a step forward because they're just falling into old bad habits that the Warriors, it looked like under Payton had got rid of it. So Payton had that last 8 or so weeks with the squad, and it seemed like he really galvanised them. And then obviously they start the year really well this year. So it's a really tough one. I don't know how to pick the Warriors, but I will say in their defence, they've lost both Lodge and Fanua Blake. What are your thoughts on the Lodge situation?
Yeah.
Very, very bizarre.
Yeah.
Do you think it was smart by them to get rid of him so soon when they need
I'd actually grant the release.
Yeah.
and pay out in full.
Just wow.
Yeah, it's a situation we don't really see that often at all.
Yeah.
A club just saying, "Yep, no worries, mate. We'll pay you every cent as well."
Yeah. Not only can you stop playing footy now for us, we'll pay you your entire contract.
Yeah, it's incredible, really. And something like what's the backstory to that? Well, there's something. I read something somewhere. I just seen the headline about some pub incident or.
Well, so the owner has come out and said they had an argument,
Right.
and then it just didn't get good since then. Like it didn't recover the relationship. But Lodge has kind of said that argument wasn't a factor in it, and also Lodge was offered quite a big contract for them, and initially he was going to stay, but then that issue happened, and now he's not going to stay. So something's happened.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, yeah, clearly something's happened. I think something. Reading between the lines, for you to say, "Look, I want out, and I want my entire package payout,"
Yes,
and for the club to then say, "Yep, no worries, right? Here's 700,000."
Wow,
There's something a little bit more significant than just a disagreement.
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Let's not muck around.
It comes off their cap next year.
Well, that's what I mean.
Crazy.
Something a little bit more significant, or is that how much the club wants you to move on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're happy to say, mate, au revoir. Plus, we'll take a huge chunk out of our cap for next year, so you're not here.
And what's insane?
Which one have they? Has someone at the club stuffed up royally and said, "Listen, we better pay this bloke out, let him go, and let's just end it now"? Or was it the other way around where the issue was from the player and the club just say, "Mate, we're that happy to let you go that we'll pay out your entire contract just so you're not with us"? We don't know.
We don't know,
and probably we'll never know. And,
what
and
makes it crazier,
that's
though,
fine. But for that situation to unfold the way it did, something significant has happened.
Yeah, for sure. And what makes it even crazier is I'm pretty sure that the next year was a player option in his favour.
Right.
So it wasn't even
Okay.
like I'm pretty sure it wasn't he could choose to take it up or choose not to.
Okay.
So
it wasn't even guaranteed what you're saying?
Again, reportedly, it wasn't even guaranteed.
Okay.
So really, really strange times. And I do feel sorry for the Warriors because they have sacrificed so much for the game.
A lot. Yeah.
And then now they're dealing with this kind of off-field stuff and, the drama. I just feel sorry for the
Do you think now, like, we're seeing it's had an effect on them being away from home for so long? Like, we already understand that it's been a significant sacrifice to come over to Australia, being away from family and friends for a long time, being away from their own homes. So it's very unfamiliar sort of, living for them over the past, couple of seasons. Although they did commit themselves. So they made the decision to commit to stay over and play, which is great for the competition. They get to continue playing as well. But do you feel as though we'll see improvement from that footy side when they return back? They're only going back in a couple of weeks. Round 16. Round 16. They're back at Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland in front of home fans. It's going to be huge. Do you think that we'll see an improvement from them when they're back in New Zealand, playing in New Zealand?
Look, it's a tough one because I actually don't think we'll see it till next year. I think it's going to take a while for them to settle in back home. They've been gone for so long. It would almost be like moving again. So I hope that they improve, but I really just don't know because the club is in this very strange position right now. They just, for example, even their recruitment has been hit. Like certain players, for their own reasons, can't go back home to the New Zealand with them. And it's just a very strange situation the club is in. And, their fans and their players have sacrificed so much. It sucks that they're in it. But let's get to the next game. We've got the Raiders versus the Roosters. Jack White and Papali'i are out due to Origin commitments, but replaced in the starting side by Matt Frawley and Corey Horsburgh. Harawira Nawa joins the bench along with Trey Mooney, who will make his NRL debut for the Sydney Roosters. Tedesco, Tupou, Lindsay Collins are out due to Origin commitments, while Suwali will be released to play. However, Suwali still needs to pass concussion protocols from last week. Joey Manu shifts to fullback. Nangama moves to centre. Billy Smith comes into the wing for Daniel Tupou. And Tokiauho moves to prop. Tupanua comes into the starting side and Egan Butcher joins the bench. How do you see this game playing?
Well, it's a lot like Penrith, isn't it? When you look at that lineup, you're thinking, wow, you've got Tedesco, Tupou, Lindsay Collins out, but that's still a strong footy side. The Roosters.
Absolutely.
Still a strong footy side. Although I'm liking the way the Raiders are playing at the moment. I really am.
Yeah.
They've sort of rediscovered their identity of sorts, where they're just that grinding, play physical, drag you into our style of footy type of team. But the Roosters I think they were going to be a little bit too classy for the Raiders. Although this is down in Canberra. This is down in Canberra, which I think is in favour of the Raiders. It's going to be absolutely freezing.
See
down
Dylan
there.
Brown on the camera the other week?
What was it?
Dylan Brown on camera was like literally shivering as he's doing the interview, going, bro, it's so cold. And he's from New Zealand as well. That's how cold it is. Mate,
Get him out of there.
Mate,
Seriously,
so cold.
Any coats?
Mate,
Any jackets for the players?
Something.
Did he have a jacket on?
I don't think he did. It was straight after the game. And honestly, he was shivering. He was literally shivering.
Surely.
Mate,
Come on.
Get the jackets out. Come on, boys.
Media manager.
But
Jacket, please.
Back to the Raiders. I agree with you. I feel like they have turned a little bit of a corner. And I understand they lost last week, but we have to remember, like, they lost to the Eels are a top-tier side.
Yeah, that's right.
And they took it to them all the way to the end.
Yep, they did. The only knock on them this week is two guys that lead that sort of physical style of footy in Jack White and Josh Papali'i. Josh Papali'i. And he's been in very good form, particularly the last 2 weeks, Josh Papali'i.
Oh,
massive. With his strong carries, some of his the impact he's had defensively with some of his big hits. And as we know, like we spoke about Jack White and the way he plays with his his kick chase, his aggressive defense from the edges, and he's a great ball runner. They might just feel the loss of those two a little bit more than what the Roosters do with Tedesco, Tupou, and Lindsay Collins.
I will say, if the Raiders do get the win, Tarpanay to get man of the match. That's my tip.
Oh, really?
If the Raiders win, Tarpanay gets man of the match. He's been outstanding the last couple of weeks.
He has been playing well.
And with the Sydney Roosters, I spoke about it with the great Tristo from TopSport, but
yes,
the crazy thing about the Roosters is they get to keep Keary and Walker in their halves combination. Also, their 9, which will be pretty sure it's Verrills.
Is it Verrills this week or
Hutchison or
Connor Watson?
Either way, it's a 9 that has been there for the whole year. So they don't lose a 9.
No, it's not a fresh face coming in.
Exactly. So that's where I feel like the Roosters could really get the win because they've got players in key positions that essentially. So Hutchison will be in the 9 role. He's obviously been there.
Yep.
And Watson will come off the bench. So outside of Radley being injured, their spine, Manu has played there plenty of times. Enough times, their spine is pretty set. It's played together.
Yep. No, look, as I said, they're a classy footy side, and if they play well, I think they get the job done against Canberra.
Now it is a bye week, so there aren't a bunch of different games, but we have to talk about the Tigers have come out and said they're doing a mid-season review, and it's weird. A couple of weeks ago, Michael Maguire's job was set, all good, nothing to worry about, but then rhetoric has come out. For example, I think the chairman has come out and said, there's nothing in front of me right now that says Michael Maguire's job is in threat or, in trouble. Mm-hmm. So the smoke is rising around Michael Maguire's situation at the Tigers. What do you think is the best way forward for the Tigers?
I don't know. He won two in a row there, right? There was talk about, he's sacked, get rid of him. They come out and win 2 games. That's when Jackson Hastings come back and was chucked in the halves. And they took a couple of big scalps in those 2 matches. But then since then they've been better. They've been much better.
Absolutely,
they've been much better.
Except for last week in that second half. But outside of that second half, absolutely.
Yeah, there's been a huge improvement. So I don't know. Do you look at the results or do you look at where the teams come from the start of the year and make your judgment from that? Do you say, look, there's been a difference, there's been an improvement, but still no results. The only thing is, if you get rid of your coach, who replaces him, and can that person do a better job? Or it's not even about doing a better job. It's does that person then bring results? Because that's what you're getting rid of. your existing coach for?
Yeah.
Because he's not winning.
Yep.
So if you bring someone else in, what changes? I think that's what you need to look at.
And who's on the market as a coach that
Well, there's always names tossed up there about like your Flanagans, Cameron Serraldos, Paul Green. You always get those similar names coming up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually don't know.
It's tough.
I don't know, and that's what I mean about if you're going to flick a coach. Okay, clearly they need to be replaced. Is that person that comes in to replace them? Is anything going to change with that person?
Yeah, mate, it's such a tough one, the Tigers, because they actually, when you watch them play, they've improved dramatically. When you watch them play. But
yes, that's what I mean.
Then you look at the results and you go, no, they haven't improved at all.
No, that's right.
They've actually gone backwards.
Yeah. So what is your goal? Like, do you want to see improvement from your team, which doesn't necessarily mean wins? Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get results.
Yeah.
Or is it just all result based? Is your thinking and your decision based around wins and wins only?
I personally think that let him have a chance with Coruscant and Papali'i getting signed to the club next year. Keep him around, and give him, basically say you got 10 rounds.
Well, that was a bit like the Dogs, though. When you think of Trent Barrett,
True.
Like he's got Kickow. Well, he doesn't anymore, but the Dogs have Kickow and Reid Barney coming. You'd like to think that they're going to have a positive impact on that footy club.
Oh, massive,
right?
Massive.
But the Dogs just went, nah, sorry, mate, gone.
Yeah, look.
We're not waiting.
Yeah, it's tough, mate. I honestly don't know what the answer is, but I will say that the Tigers, aside from that last 40 minutes, have been much, much better as a side. And I personally think because he's won a premiership, you back him in. If he gets Api Coruscant there and he gets Papali'i there, give him 10 games. And then at 10 games, if he's not, got a better record than what you want or whatever, that's probably when you need to part ways, probably.
Yep.
But we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to do a deep dive into Origin Preview 1. How does the Blues win? How does Queensland win? We will discuss it all after the break.
Holy Schnitz. Time now for the sporting highlight of the week. Thanks to Schnitz, home of fresh, golden, handcrafted schnitzels.
Welcome back to the Captain's Run with the great Cameron Smith. Now, Smithy, when I talk about great things, I say Smithy and I also say Schnitties. Smithy and Schnitties.
They go well, don't they? They actually, as in, they sound similar and they go well when I'm eating schnitz too.
Oh, mate, they are absolutely incredible. And so we've got the Schnitz sporting moments of the week. Now, I'm going to go first, Smithy,
okay,
and then we'll get yours second.
What do you got?
But my nomination is Dragons prop Blake Laurie, the big fella, finally scoring his first try after 91 NRL games.
91?
How many games did it take you, Smithy?
I think about 4.
4?
Yeah, I remember scoring.
Just a dive over?
Yeah, it's just a little sneaky dive over. I scored against. It was against Penrith at Olympic Park in Melbourne.
How good. But Blake Laurie, 91 games he's in the battle station. He's in the middle of the field, doesn't get praise for what he does.
He's in the thick of it.
He's in the thick of it, and he loves it. He loves the battle, and he gets a try as well. So congratulations, Blake. Absolutely stoked for you, mate.
He must have been maybe heading up into the sort of top 5 category of most games without a try.
Well, Alex Twell is up there now going, oh, no. Oh, no. Life is about to get very...
He's 100 plus now.
100 plus now. No try.
Wow.
And in his 100th, there's literally a bit where one of a West Tigers players snakes a try off him.
Oh, no.
But then the try gets disallowed. It's crazy.
Oh, no.
Crazy.
I think... was that his game when he got caught up in the banner? Was that Twally?
Yes, that's Twally. Mate, sort the banners out. What's going on? Brooksy had the same thing at the Tigers. Whoever the banner guy is at the Tigers.
Mate, don't make it so tough to run through.
Yes.
A little less sticky tape.
Mate, what's doing there? It's like a cement wall. If 12 can't get through it, no one can.
Why is that so funny, that stuff?
Oh,
mate, I still remember, I think this is 2009 grand final. We're playing Parramatta. Look back to the replay. 2009 or 2012. I forget which one. But I vividly remember Ryan Hoffman getting caught up in our banner. You know how we used to run through the banner every game? Wasn't just the big ones.
Yeah.
It's just a Victorian thing.
Yeah.
And we've come cruising through. I ran through the middle. For some reason, Ryan Hoffman tries to run through the edge.
Oh,
that's the strongest part.
Yeah.
And he got caught up, twisted up.
How good.
And he went out and scored the first try of the game. So clearly didn't affect him too much. Okay, my nomination for the Holy Schnitz sporting moment was, well, It was when the Titans were winning 24-10. Okay, Bronx just scored, got himself back in the game. Still though, like Titans are up by 14. They should ice the game, but no, they go for a short kickoff.
Oh wow!
They opt for a short kickoff.
Oh, Tino.
Was it Tino's decision?
Yeah, he came out after the game in the press conference. He said, "I just want to apologise. Like
Oh no.
I didn't know that." Because I think he didn't know the full rules of the kickoff, like he couldn't regather it or something unless it hit the ground after the 10 metres.
Oh, he thought it had to hit the ground.
Yes.
All it has to do was cross the line.
Yes.
So he could have actually. Anyway.
Yes.
No, don't call for that.
Tino?
Your next game, Tino.
Big fella?
Kick him deep. Kick him long, kick him deep. But anyway, they went for the short kickoff, and Corey Pakes.
What a catch and a
He
run.
just swooped in there and just said, "Thank you, I'll have that."
Thank you.
Took off down the field about 40 metres, drew the fullback, gave it to Jordan Ricky for a try, and that pretty much just it was just they couldn't stop him from there.
People at the ground reckon Suncorp called out, "Holy schnitz," when it happened. Wow. That's
They
all
may
allegedly.
well have.
They may well.
Allegedly.
I mean, it was a weird night. They were booing, yelling out, "Holy schnitz," all the good stuff. But they were our Holy Schnitz sporting moments. Thanks to Schnitz. Got that winning taste right now. Schnitz, handcrafted schnitzels, made fresh and made just for you. After the news, we're going deep with Origin, baby. Origin Game 1 preview after the news. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with the great Cameron Smith. But just like the rest of us, SEN has Origin fever. So tomorrow on 11:70, we are giving away 3 chances to win a double pass to State of Origin 1, valued at $200. Your first chance comes in breakfast with Vossi and Brandy, so be sure to listen between 6 and 9 a.m. The next double pass will be on offer during Morning Glory with Matty Johns between 9 and 12. And finally, head down to Four Pines Truck Bar. That's Four Pines Truck Bar at Brookvale tomorrow between 3 and 6 p.m. to join Joel Kane and Steve O'Keefe for the run home. Your last chance to win a double pass to State of Origin 1 valued at $200. This is available to New South Wales residents only. SEN has Origin fever, and I got Origin fever right now. I was lying in bed. I said, my temperature's up. And I said, no, darling, Origin's around the corner. That's what I said. Now, Smithy.
Yes.
Smithy, speak to me. Next week, you know, what are you kind of feeling the game? Like, for example, Game 1 last year was honestly one of the fastest games I've ever witnessed.
Yep.
Is that something that you're expecting for Game 1 this year?
Well, it was very fast from a New South Wales point of view. They
Yes,
put
true.
plenty of points on the board. Queensland were pretty much standing behind their own goal line for the most part of it. But I just feel as though this is a much more even game. It's a much more even sort of matchup of the two footy sides. Given the situation that the Queensland clubs find themselves in, well, more so, North Queensland and Brisbane, with sitting third and fourth on the ladder, players in good form, a lot of players being picked from those footy sides. So Queensland are taking in guys that are just in a really good position right now, quite healthy, playing great footy, very confident, and they're up and about, and some young, energetic guys, given an opportunity to play Origin. So if you think back to Game 1 last year, Queensland took in a few guys under injury cloud, hadn't played a lot of football leading up to that first game. Went in great form, to be fair, and that week the preparation was just up and down. Like there was just some things happening in their preparation where players weren't training for the most part of the week. There was guys getting sick and all this sort of stuff. Blah blah blah. At the end of the day, we got beat fair and square by a very good New South Wales side. I just think that it's a little bit better, more even matchup this year. People say that New South Wales have been brought back to the pack a little bit because of the injuries to Latrell Mitchell and Tom Trebojevic, but they're wonderful players. But at the same time, when you look at guys like Katoni Staggs, he has been outstanding this year.
Yeah.
He brings different things to that footy side to what Tom Trebojevic would have, or Latrell Mitchell.
A lot of aggression.
He's aggressive. He's physical. He's extremely fit. He is fast. Now you say, like Tommy's fast and Latrell's fast, but he plays it. He plays the game a very different style.
Absolutely.
So when you're thinking of attacking, say, a Katoni Staggs, you got to come up with different ways to attack down that edge to what you would have if you're facing Latrell or Tommy, because he's so good with his defence, and he's got a lot of speed, so he can trust himself.
Absolutely.
To allow attack to get outside him. He he does so much work for his winger. Okay, when you watch the Broncos play,
Absolutely.
you know, his winger can afford to just hang back a little bit deep, hang a little bit wide, because he knows Katoni's coming to help him.
His first 10 metres is incredible.
That's what I mean.
Staggs, yeah.
So he can say, well, righto, will take me on the outside. You know, I'll just back myself to get out there and make the tackle, which he's been doing, you know, great all year. So, like I mentioned, you've got two great players out, but you've got two guys coming in. I know Jack Whiten's starting there, and he's played well in that position previously. But also Stephen Crichton, like, he's in great form and he's got strong combination with those Penrith players. So there's just different things to contend with.
Yeah.
You're not saying, well, they're not a great side because Turbo and Latrell aren't there. They're a very good football side still. It's just different faces that bring different elements to that football team.
I mean, tell the defensive centre. It's, yeah, boys.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all good. I just got Katoni Staggs' big fen coming to me chest.
That's right.
And you're right. The really thing about Katoni's game this year especially, his defence on their goal line, the amount of tries that he saved, where often when a certain player gets into attacking field position, usually when they get about 5 metres out, if it's a one-on-one tackle, usually they score because the momentum just takes them over. The amount of times Katoni's first contact and his strength to just stop them dead.
Oh, it's crazy.
Just stops them dead. It's crazy. And he's actually done a defensive job on some of the most explosive centres in the competition. And I think that you're totally right. One of his most underrated aspects of Katoni Staggs' game is his outstanding defence. Outstanding defence.
Well, remember that game, Kempy, sorry to cut you off, but Sifa Talakai, he had that enormous match against Manly down at Cronulla, or it was his first half. His first 40 minutes, and all of a sudden everyone's going, oh, he's got to get picked. Freddie, you got to pick him. Like if Latrell's not fit, you got to pick him. You got to pick him in that centre position. But then he comes up to Brisbane the next week, unsighted. Because of the job that Katoni Staggs did. And now Katoni knew that was a big night for him defensively. So what he did was the first opportunity he got on Talakai, when Talakai got the ball, he just, I don't know if you remember, he flew off his line and just whacked him.
Took it personally.
He just whacked him. Like stopped him in his tracks.
And
just said, mate, this is what you're going to face all night. If you want to run the ball, if you think you're going to get a night like you did last week, think again.
Absolutely. Now, I will say in Queensland's, I guess, back pocket, is the one game Staggs was probably outplayed was by Valentine Holmes. And so
I guess, that's right.
That's a good thing to have in the back pocket. That's, Staggs, although absolutely incredible. Holmes is, in my opinion, probably been the most consistent centre all year.
Well, he's been in great form, and this is what I'm saying about some of those players in that Cowboys lineup and the Broncos lineup. They're playing some of their best football. I think Val Holmes has rediscovered some of his best form of his career. I know he had most of that that great football that he played was down at the Sharkies, playing either on the wing or at fullback. But he's found a home in that centre spot now, where he's been very good, particularly with the football. He's extremely dangerous. So he's not as big as a Katoni Staggs, but he's still got great power. He's lightning quick,
silky too.
Got great feet. He's quite dangerous with ball in the hand, and he's a little bit. He can change angles and move around on the field position a little bit like what Tom Trbojevic did last year. Have you seen him swap from left to right, and he's all over the place? He's got that ability too to go roaming at stages. We've seen that with the Cowboys. Not too sure whether we'll see that with Queensland, but I'm sure with a guy like Bill Slater as the coach, he loves seeing attacking football.
It's really, really, I love that battle. Now, without giving too much away, the ruck. Let's say you're playing against Smithy, and you've got to speak to these boys who are facing a very dominant New South Wales pack. What would you be concentrating on telling the boys to control that ruck, whether it's New South Wales or Queensland?
Oh, look, I there's no secret. That's where New South Wales have really aimed a lot of their football over the last couple of years is taking on the middle of Queensland. And that's and I'm not just saying that's pack v pack. I'm talking, Trbojevic, Tom has gone in there. Tedesco is always in there asking questions. Damien Cook, any opportunity he gets to run, he's going to be going through there. So they like to build their momentum through the middle and then shift the ball. So they like to go. They try to go bang bang, get Queensland on the back foot, and then go right. Let's go to our edges. Let's go to our strike players out wide.
Yep.
Okay. Let's chew them up in the middle, hit them out wide, and it's been very effective for them. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's their tactic again.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm playing, if you're playing for New South Wales, like you're going to try that same tactic again. So it's a huge job for Queensland's middle forwards to try and control the speed to play the ball, to try and control the momentum of the game, and just to help out the edge defences when that ball does go wide through players like Isaiah Yeo, Luai and Cleary, to try and minimise the impact that they have on the game.
It's I was going to bring Isaiah up next. For New South Wales, he can truly be the difference. For Queensland, how do you... Because if you can knock that link out of the Penrith, it's a massive link. It almost... It keeps the ship, afloat, really.
Yes. Yeah.
Is there any way that Queensland can do that?
Well, you can't take players out of the game entirely. What you can try and do is minimise the impact they have on the match. Now, there's no doubt that New South Wales' game plan is going to be built around that sort of core of Yo, Luai, Cleary. They've got great players all over the park, but I just think that you'll see a very sort of strong Penrith flavour within this New South Wales team. Given the positions of their key players and the role that Isaiah Yeo plays, particularly with Cleary.
Yeah.
Whenever Isaiah Yeo gets the ball, typically Cleary is not far away.
Absolutely.
Whether he's sitting on his inside, he's sitting out the back of. Yeo might have just a short ball runner, punching the line. Cleary sitting out the back of it. Sometimes it's just a nice little tip on to Cleary just to try and take defenders away from him. They have a very, very strong combination, those two.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just the amount of times that Isaiah Yeo, because he's so dangerous, you can't afford to slide off him.
No, well, that's exactly right, Kempy. So he's got those dangerous players around him, and everyone's aware of, he's got the good combination with Cleary. We need to get Cleary. But if you just forget about Isaiah Yeo, he's got a very strong running game himself. Okay, and he's a bit of he's a wiry, big, tall, lanky like bloke. Yeah, and he's awkward to tackle. So if you don't pay the right respects to him, well, then you find he pokes his nose through, and then they're off again.
Absolutely.
So then you got Cook coming out, you got Cleary on the front foot, and then you got space out wide for Luai, which is always dangerous. Yeah, absolutely. So, look, it's such an interesting matchup, because especially even you look at the 13, you got a guy like Cotter, very different player to Isaiah Yeo. Completely different.
What do you think Cotter can bring that is maybe a little bit different to Isaiah?
Oh, look, I just think that he's gonna do a mountain of work, and he's a type of guy that will just keep turning up defensively, and he'll be putting a lot of pressure on those guys. We've seen that at club level, that he goes out and puts a lot of pressure on the ball players, tries to take their time away, which is what I mentioned before. That's what you need to do to try and minimise the impact that those players have.
Yes.
You're never ever going to take them out of the game, and they're going to have good touches at certain times.
Absolutely. Just like the rest of us, SEN has Origin Fever. Tomorrow on 11:70, we're giving all you 3 chances to win a double pass to State of Origin, valued at $200. Your first chance comes in breakfast with Vossi and Brandy, so be sure to listen between 6 and 9 a.m. The next double pass will be on offering during Morning Glory with Matty Johns between 9 a.m. and midday. And finally, head down to 4 Pines Truck Bar at Brookvale tomorrow between 3 and 6 p.m. to join Joel Kane and Steve O'Keefe for the run home. Your last chance to win a double pass to State of Origin 1, valued at $200. This is available to New South Wales residents only. SEN has Origin Fever, and we'll see you after the break. Welcome back to the Captain's Run, and just like the rest of us, SEN has Origin Fever. So tomorrow, 11:70, we are giving you 3 chances to win a double pass to State of Origin 1, valued at $200. Your first chance comes in breakfast with Vossi and Brandy, so be sure to listen between 6 and 9 a.m. The next double pass will be on our offer during Morning Glory with Matty Johns between 9 a.m. and midday. And finally, head down to 4 Pines Truck Bar at Brookvale tomorrow between 3 and 6 p.m. to join Joel Kane and Steve O'Keefe for the run home. Your last chance to win a double pass to State of Origin 1 valued at $200. This is available to New South Wales residents only. SEN has Origin fever. We got some text, Smithy. What do we got going on today?
Yeah, we got a couple. We got one from Will here.
Will.
Hey, you Queensland losers for the next week. Is the selection of Jack White at centre used more of a tactical move for him as a half playing in the centres to get a feel for the game so that he doesn't have to come off the bench and try and insert himself? Yeah, look, there's some sort of tactical reason that he's been picked there instead of putting Crichton straight in.
Yeah.
Crichton's played there all year, playing in a side playing well. He's playing well. He's got combos with the other Penrith players. There'll be some sort of reason as to why he's playing in that position. One of them is because, and what we mentioned earlier, he's done the job there for the Blues in the past. He's a wonderful player and plays a very aggressive style of footy, very physical. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. Like there'll be a plan behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I loved your chat about even like the little things. He has a great kick chase. It's honestly one of his assets that is better than a lot of people in the NRL.
And in Origin, those small things, they matter most.
Especially with now you think about it more, like Selwyn Cobbo's line breaks have come a lot off poor kick chases.
Yep.
And so if you've got guys like White and filling holes, those things don't happen.
Makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah, so really, I mean, I agree. I think there's clearly some intent behind that. It's such a big call. There's some intent there. What else we got here, Smitty?
I'll ask you this one, Kempy. I'll just ask you this one. Morning, fellas. Who are you most excited to see take the Origin stage? Is it Cotter? He's been great. But I can't wait to see Cobbo. I think he's going to set it on fire. I think we're seeing the closest thing to Inglis. That's from the Pommy Rabbitoh.
Pommy Rabbitoh. Look, first of all, Greg Inglis is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, outside back of all time. But you cannot deny the similarities in the way they play. Now, obviously, he's nowhere near Inglis yet. But I agree. I'm the most excited to see Cobbo. And he'll forge his own path. I think it's the highest of compliments to even consider that he would be similar to Inglis.
Yep.
But I totally agree. I think Selwyn Cobbo is the most exciting thing to watch as a Queenslander. We are going to head to a break. And after the break, we'll continue reading your texts. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with the great Smithy. Make sure to download our show on Spotify, Apple, the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. But we're going to go through our tips. Titans v. the Cowboys. Who you got, Smithy?
Cows. Just a little bit too strong.
Yeah, I think so. Panthers, Doggies.
I'd love to see the Doggies get up and just get right amongst this one, but I think Penrith too strong.
Yeah, I agree. I think the systems they've got in place, and they've still got such a strong call there, so I'm going to go Panthers. Manly versus Warriors.
I'm going to say Manly and Schuster have a blinder.
Schuster.
Yep.
Schuster. Silky Schuster. Yeah, I think Manly get the job done here. Raiders, Roosters.
This will be a close one. I think the Roosters, though.
The Roosters?
Yeah, I've seen some good signs from them, Roosters.
Look, I think the Roosters are just going to be too strong. That is our episode for the week, done and dusted.
We're not back the morning after Origin 1. We're back.
Morning
Captain's
after,
Run.
and we will be reviewing the game. It'll be your first chance to listen to us review Origin 1. Don't miss it, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.